We'll proceed with the meeting. It being Wednesday, January 13th at 7 o'clock, I'll call the meeting of the Conservation Commission to order. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. No in-person attendance of meetings of the public will be permitted at this meeting. Board members will participate in this meeting remotely, as this meeting will be accessible to the public via Zoom online option. See information available at the town's website, bellinghamma.org. Moving forward in this meeting, the chair instructs the meeting administrator to withhold access to speak at the meeting until or unless such persons requesting to speak are visible on screen and respectfully request such access. Okay, so 7:30, 7 o'clock, I'm going to read the advertisement. I see Sean and Mark are here. The Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold public hearings in accordance with the Mass Wetlands Protection continuations of public hearings in accordance with the Mass Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 4 of the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw on the notice of intent for the proposed grading, site work, and stormwater management system associated with a 103 lot residential subdivision entitled Bellingham Shores, including the construction of the subdivision roadway located within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland, with proposed filling of 1,757 square feet of isolated vegetated wetland. The property is located at Assessor's Map 72, lots 13-1, 13-2, 14-0 through 14-7, and 14-16 at South Main Street and Cross Street, Bellingham. Scott Goddard, Goddard Consulting, Main Street, Northborough, has submitted the filing on behalf of Rick Terrell, Bellingham Residential Realty, number 2, LLC, Milford, Mass. The continuations will be held via Zoom on the evening of January 13th at 7 p.m. Okay, I see, yeah, we definitely have a quorum of members present. As we discussed at the last meeting, the commission, the administrator, and myself developed an order of conditions. That order of conditions had been distributed for comment. We received no comment, and therefore, well, are there any other questions? Okay, having received no comments, I'll entertain a motion to close this hearing and sign and issue the prepared order of conditions.
So moved.
Sean Wade. Is there a second?
Second.
Mary Ann. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, by unanimous vote. At some point in the meeting, our administrator will try to coordinate a time where we can get the document signed. But thank you for your cooperation. I'm confident that it's a good project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, Mark, you're not going to, you're going to
No,
hang
I'm not
around.
going anywhere.
Okay. What happened is we were hoping that this one would go quickly. Yes, we did. It's closed. We voted to sign an issue. We have a request for a certificate of compliance.
Mr. Chair, just one thing.
Sure.
I'm assuming we're not going to discuss anything with the Lakeview project tonight?
No.
Oh, great.
No, the continuation was for next 2 weeks, next meeting.
Understood. Then I thank you all for your consideration and the work on this project. Thank you, Frank, for this, and I will sign off.
Thank you, Sean.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So we are in receipt of a certificate of compliance for 8 Connor Lane, Lot 4. Now,
Correct.
this was for site work and for replication. If the commission will recall, there was an isolated vegetated wetland on the lot. We determined, based on the applicant's representations, that it was a lower value resource area, although I still hate to use that term. They came to us with a proposal to do replication by recreating a resource area and attach it to a BVW
On an
abutting lot.
That's the lot we're giving the certificate on.
So the administrator and I have worked with Mark Arnold. We've been out there in the last 3 years, probably a dozen times. And based on Mr. Arnold's submitted evaluations and our observations, we think that the resource area is functioning perfectly as a BVW. Mark, anything to add?
No, I have to say the replication area came out really good, so I'm really happy with it.
Really good.
It did. It did.
And based on the work that you did there, we're looking forward to see, hopefully, that you will be the one who will be working on Bellingham shores. I'm excited to see how that works.
Yeah, I think we've got a good plan for success there.
So what's your recommendation?
Well, I think that the site is in great condition. I think Mark's done a great job with the replication. The site work is in the house is all done properly according to plan. One thing that I did ask Mark and Chris Nation to do is to remove the extra silt fence that was out there on site, which they have done. I know this is one of the things that the commission is concerned about, making sure that's done. So they sent me photos yesterday, showing me that they had removed the silt fence. So I recommend that we sign the certificate of compliance.
Okay. Just, Brian, I can't hear you.
I can't vote on that.
Okay. I think that you probably could because you own your individual lot, but the abutting property, the property that the condo association, you know what? The commission owns it.
Right, yeah.
The commission owns the abutting property.
Since the original filing, I think it's switched
I
over.
think you're okay, but if you're not comfortable, we'll allow you to recuse yourself. We don't want any potential legal issues. And I believe we have sufficient members present to.
Yeah, I'll recuse myself.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, that being the case, I'll entertain a motion to sign and issue the prepared certificate of compliance.
So moved.
Sean,
Second.
Ariane, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, by unanimous vote. Mark, where does the certificate go? Where would you like that to be sent?
That can go directly to Chris Nation. The PO box number is 152 in Hopkinton.
Okay,
Should be on the application. Yeah, it can go directly to Chris.
fair enough. Okay, we're all set.
Ann, are we going to address the certificate of compliance for the roadway?
Well, I did have a conversation with Cheryl Nation, and there is the outstanding issue of the stormwater annuity. We had a little discussion on that. I think she reached out to Jim Kupfer at the planning board as well. This project has to go to the town meeting, I believe in May, being proposed by the applicant for town acceptance. So I told her she had enough time, she had plenty of time to get that annuity established. So there is the outstanding issue. So I really think that now would not be an appropriate time to discuss the certificate of compliance for the actual subdivision itself. DPW is reviewing the plans, the as-built plans. I haven't heard anything from them yet on it.
I believe Chris Nation is on the call. Chris, is it your understanding that the annuity is only on the commission's order of conditions, or is that also on the planning board permit?
Does anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Chris.
Hi, it's Chris Nation representing the Connor Lane project. It was my understanding that we were able to get a certificate of compliance without the annuity, and the annuity was just part of getting DPW satisfied. But if I'm incorrect, then I just need to be told that, and we can work through it.
It's in,
Yes,
Go ahead.
so Chris, it is one of the conditions in the order of conditions. And we can talk about that. I'll be very happy to send the special conditions over to you, but it specifically states in there.
We saw that, Ian. So I think the best thing is to the commission, how can we best table this item so we don't have to refile the paperwork? Do we want to continue this out? I just don't want to refile paperwork when it's all been filed. We're just waiting for really the DPW and this annuity to be set up. Otherwise, the commission has everything set in their paperwork release.
Okay, so Mark, I don't think there's any reason for you to have to resubmit. It's a pending file at this time.
All right.
As soon as that, we start getting information, I have it as an active file. I will be on top of it. And if it is going, if Chris has the intention of going to the town meeting for approval of the roadway, the subdivision in May, all that will be handled within the next couple of months. So you do not have to reapply.
so that when you go to town meeting, once these issues are resolved, you'll have a certificate of compliance. And when you go to town meeting, you can say, we have a COC from the Conservation Commission for the work that was performed.
Yep. So yeah. So we'll work with Ann behind the scenes to get the annuity set up, and then we'll communicate again. We can figure out when we want to have this, but at least we can just say it's going to be tabled until the DPW items have been addressed.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep,
Okay.
that works for us. Okay.
Are you good with that, Chris?
Yeah, I guess since you're asking, I had wanted to be able to tell the DPW director that we were in good standing with conservation, and to understand if he had any final outstanding issues. But I guess that is where we are. I just wanted to be able to tell him we had our COC, but I think it'll all flush out when Ian has nothing, negative to say.
Well, Chris, you can have Don talk to Ann about it, but from a conservation standpoint, to our mind, there are no outstanding issues other than that annuity.
Right.
No deficiencies with the development. There are no problems. There's going to be no blindsided, complaint.
Yeah. Okay.
We're in good shape.
Okay, that's great. I'll reach out to Don sooner than later just to try and wrap up. And James might have something that I can connect with him on. Maybe I'll touch base with him first tomorrow, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Stapled it together. Okay. Okay.
Do you want to read the ad?
It's 7:45. This is the first of the Red Mill projects. Is the Mechanic Street and Mill Street interconnect roadway. And at the applicant's request, we're going to continue this. They were not prepared to make a presentation tonight. I don't know Jim, you'll be meeting with these guys tomorrow. Have you heard anything from them?
Yes, the planning board will be meeting with them tomorrow night. They have provided the planning board with responses to the peer review and some supplemental documents. But, you know, it's, as you guys know, your peer review and our peer review is a little bit different. So, you know, I think it was a little easier for them to be able to respond to ours. So that's, I think, why our board has received some information to date. I was copied on that continuation request. Hopefully they get that stuff to you soon.
Okay, because I know there are two areas of peer review. The first is environmental, and the second is the engineering review. And I've looked at Frank's, you know, 18-page review in depth, and I have some substantial issues of my own to add on to that. So if you would just impart that knowledge to the planning board, knowing that, you know, that we have issues related to the drainage. Yeah.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, no, I mean, we're trying not to get too far ahead of you guys. You know how we like to run concurrent. So I'll definitely relay that message to them. And yeah, I know I have a number of things as well. And I'm sure the board members will have a few things to add to.
Okay. So that being said, I know for the record, I just want to say this again. We did make an informational request on December 9th, I believe it was. And we requested that they provide detailed information on the catchment area for South Main Street, because they're saying that they're going to capture some of the runoff to help the town with the MS4. We don't know what the extent of that is. We wanted that to be elaborated. We asked them to provide a different area for replication of the wetland that's being impacted with the widening of Mill Street. And we will ask them, and this is primarily for Jim, we took a look at the outfall structure on Mill Street, and originally that was created under a filing by the DPW to address the stormwater in that vicinity. And it is functioning as a BVW. And that's always a tricky thing to deal with. But under the regs, stormwater management structures cannot be considered resource areas. So we're going to need them to take a look at that and see what they can do to clean it up to make sure that it's going to function as a plunge pool prior to discharge into a resource area.
Yeah, no, Ann had mentioned something to me about that. So yeah, that makes a world of sense. Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure Amy got that. Okay.
One of the other things we had asked was a plan of the impacts to the resource areas and the buffer zones.
It's going to be the next one.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so that being said, at the applicant's request, we're going to continue this, and hopefully they'll be prepared at our next meeting, because I'd like to continue this to the evening of February 27th at 8:15.
I think it was going to be January.
January
27th.
January.
That's what they had asked.
At 8:15.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mike and then Ariane. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, by unanimous vote. And moving ahead, we have the same applicant. This is for the roadway utility stormwater management for the subdivision Red Mill on the Charles. They have requested a continuation for this one as well. This is where we requested we understand that a large site-wide plan is a little unwieldy, but it was very instructive for us during the initial phase of review to see all the area impacts. And we asked them to please provide us with a similar plan, because they have made some changes And along with that plan to include the 25 to 50 foot temporary disturbance zone for the buffer zones. And so we are still awaiting that information. That being said, I think I'd like to continue this right after the Common Street continuation. So I'll entertain a motion to continue this to the evening of January 27th at 8:45.
So moved. Second.
Sean and then Brian, discussion?
Quick question, Mr. Chair. And the information that you sent out on, I'm getting the date here, my computer's running really slow, Wednesday, a week ago. Was it a week ago? No, sorry, 2 weeks ago. That supplemental peer review, I'm getting my reviews mixed up. I've been reading through them. I got one from the 24th, one from the 20th, which preceded with Frank's comments, and then BSC's comments, and then is this another one?
Yes.
Subsequent?
Okay. So there were two that were sent out a couple of weeks ago that have to do with the red mill.
Right.
There was December 21st and December 24th, maybe. I don't recall
Okay.
what the date was. The one I sent out today is the peer review for Lakeview Estates. That's the Candlelight Lane and Silver Lake Road. And that's why I wrote in there that the hearing is continued to the end of January.
Right. No, I've got one. I was looking at the 21st and the 24th ones for joint peer review and then peer review of the NOI. The 21st is just peer review of NOI, and the other one says joint peer review from BSC, both of them. There isn't a third one, right? These are the only two. You're waiting for this one that Cliff just mentioned?
That's correct.
Okay.
One of them, Mike, is the environmental review. The other one is the engineering review, I believe, both from BSC. We're waiting for responses to both of those.
Right, okay. Yeah, because there seemed to be a lot of comments, basically Frank saying that they have to do a lot of proving of things, and I haven't seen that in the documents I've been reading through so far. I was just hoping that I wasn't missing it, and in fact, it sounds like we're still waiting for it, so, okay.
No, I think that's one of the reasons why they requested the continuation.
Yeah,
but we need to be cautious here because some of the grades, especially on the roadways, and this is why I want the commission to pay special attention to the peer review and to look at the plans, because we don't want to have a repeat of a situation we have on another subdivision where there are steep roadways and we have stormwater bypass. One of the other things we need to talk about is whether or not we're going to grant waivers for the sizing of the stormwater basins. Now, we're going to talk about this in depth at our next continuation, but DEP is revising the stormwater management standards. And one of the reasons they're undertaking this revision is because a preponderance of evidence demonstrates that there are increased frequencies of high volume storm events in the last couple of decades. And in order to accommodate what appears to be a growing trend, they need to make adaptations to accommodate the additional runoff. The commission, 10 years ago anticipated this, and our bylaws allow for things like modeling the 25-year storm event under frozen ground conditions. As we move forward and we have less and less snowfall, it's more likely that we're going to see situations where we have, a rain event, then a freeze, and then another rain event. And if we don't size basins correctly, we're going to have situations where we have overtopping and potential flooding. That was the intent of the regulation. So there's that one. There's the freeboard under the 100-year storm event. And there was one other one that, well, I don't recall right now. However, we're going to have to deal with this. And I know that the applicant is saying that from their perspective, the difficulty is that if they increase the size, first of all, they don't think it's necessary. But they also feel that if they increase the size, then what it's going to do is it's going to create further impact on the open space. And they're already starting to get down to the area where they don't have much over the minimum of open space that's allowed under the overlay district. If you all recall, at the very first hearing we had, I said there may be a situation involved here where you're going to have to, in order to minimize the impacts, you're going to have to eliminate some lots to accommodate new designs. And so we'll be bringing that forth at the next meeting. And I'm sure that Jim will be imparting that information to them tomorrow night as well.
That's also a layman's quick solution to reducing the potential for overflow, is just reduce the amount of overflow. And if you don't have as much stuff that would contribute to the overflow, fewer lots that are developed, then you wouldn't have to expand the basins necessarily.
Well, we've had a lot of, eliminating lots isn't going to really help with eliminating that much of the impervious surfaces. But I noticed in Frank's comments, we talked about roof infiltration, and when you have houses abutting 3-to-1 slopes and you've got roof infiltrators, my concern is you're worried about breakout. And the applicant seems to think that they just want to file for the infrastructure and deal with the lots down the road. But I'm thinking at this stage of the game, this is all part of the stormwater management system, roof infiltration, and it should be addressed now. Frank, any comments?
Let me get back on. No, I would agree with you. And we've had discussions with the folks on environmental and other engineering folks about just that if I understand, and this may be a misinterpretation, they're not asking for the approval of the lots. They're part of the subdivision. They're asking for the, the layout and whatever. And basically a subdivision is the creation of a roadway to create frontage for lots. So are they setting up, and I don't know how many lots are in the jurisdiction of the commission. I haven't counted them, but there's probably 30, 40, 50 or more of them that have some jurisdiction. So you're going to get 50 or 30 or 40 or whatever it is, notice of intent for each individual house. Again, I mean, that's just a procedural type thing. But the other part of this is, those lots, there were a couple lots that, and they had houses on them that were sort of just a picture, a cartoon. But you open the back door and you've got 15 feet or 20 feet to a 3-to-1 slope that drops 20 or 30 feet vertically. That's not much of a backyard. People would tend, as you've seen in other locations, and I've seen other towns and cities, would tend to modify their backyard to make it more accommodation, and that could impact other resource areas over time.
And if we have stormwater management structures, technically roof infiltrators they don't have to account for impervious materials that are being infiltrated on individual lots. So I'm gonna ask for a little more detail on that. But I think what we've done is, because of the requested continuation, we've kind of moved everybody up in the slot, so we didn't have to be here until 10 o'clock tonight.
Oh, really?
So, but I just wanted to get a couple of those issues out, because I know that Jim will be meeting with them, with the planning board tomorrow, so he can kind of get a feel for where we're going with this and what we're thinking. So I'd like to close discussion now and continue with the rest of our meeting.
Did we continue?
So I'd like to entertain a motion. Actually, I think I did, but then Mike had a question and then I got sidetracked. So let me restate. I'll entertain. Oh, it's my fault. I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing to the evening of January 27th at 8:45.
So moved.
That was Sean.
Second.
Neil beat her.
Good work.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, by unanimous vote. Okay, that's good. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to move to Pelletier Drive. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and the rest of the commission. Sorry, apologize for my tardiness.
Oh, John Churchill.
That will be 2 demerits.
Add them to the bucket.
It's quite a list. Okay.
I've been at this a while.
You have.
I always thought you're meritorious, yeah.
Okay, the Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold continuations of public hearings in accordance with the Mass Wetlands Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 14, and the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and a notice of intent for the proposal to construct a new stone retaining wall to replace a failing wall located partially within the 25-foot no disturb zone to Lake Hiawatha, and to remove an existing concrete pad located within the 100-foot buffer zone to Lake Hiawatha, Assessors Map 70, Lot 67, 19 Pelletier Drive, Bellingham. Sam Lamel, JC Engineering, East Wareham, Mass, has submitted the filing on behalf of Mark and Nancy DiCristofaro, 19 Pelletier Drive, Bellingham. The continuation will be held on the evening of January 13th at 7:20. We're a couple of minutes late. Okay. So who do we have here?
John Churchill.
John,
There he is. Hi, John.
And
hey,
it's-
good evening. For the record, John Churchill, JC Engineering. Sam works at our firm. I'm a professional engineer, professional land surveyor with JC Engineering. I'm representing Nancy and Mark DiCristofaro at 19 Pelletier Drive. I believe there was a site visit that I could not attend this Saturday. So I believe most of the commission members, we continued last meeting to attend that meeting this last Saturday to see the condition of the wall. And I think it's fairly evident that this wall is we're either going to replace it or it's going to actually fall over. So what we're proposing here is a segmental wall, which is a little easier to construct. If you'd like, I can share my screen, but I think most of you have seen these plans. If you have not, please, I'll share my screen and you can see the plans. So it's up to you. Would you like me to?
No, I know that Michael Herron is actually showing a picture on his phone, but the reflection is killing.
Okay.
So it's, yeah, nice try, Mike, but it's not working.
All right, but I think most of the members were there, and you can. It's evident that the wall is going to fail. And so, as I said, what we're doing is replacing it with a less intrusive wall. So what a segmental wall is basically it's a bunch of Legos essentially. So what's going to happen? Construction method was asked of us this afternoon. I spoke to the agent. So what's going to happen is basically excavate behind the existing wall that's currently there, stockpile the material, remove the existing wall, concrete wall that's there, get rid of that. Get a base for the segmental wall, put the first layer in, level that up. Segmental walls are required to embed 1.5 inch per foot of height. So we're 8 feet high. So you're going to be in the ground 12 inches for the bottom of the first layer or first block, if you will. Then what happens is then they basically, once you get the first course down, you're just stacking 50-pound blocks on top of each other with a battered wall. So this wall is not going to be a flush wall. It's actually going to be battered backwards. They last a lot longer. There's going to be anything greater than 4 feet requires a geogrid. So the plans actually show a geogrid for half the wall. The existing, the proposed wall is going to be 8 feet high at its max. Time out.
Time out. I understand exactly what you're saying, but there are a lot of folks here that I'm not sure who they are. Could you please put up the plan for us?
Okay, I'll share my screen.
Please, thank you.
You're very welcome. And I'm disabled.
Jim, would you let him?
You should be good now.
Thank you.
Jim. Yeah, I just realized I just can't make it happen by thinking it.
So what you see here is, here's my cursor, I'm assuming you can see that.
Yep.
So what you see here at the beginning of the wall, it's about 3.5 feet high here, comes down and then turns. This is actually, this solid gray line is replacing the existing wall that is actually in that same location. I'll show you a detail of what it's going to look like. This is a detail. So it's going to be about 55 feet long. The angle point that you just saw in that last plan is going to be right about here, station 37. So you're looking at 37 feet. and then it turns the corner to that existing abutting the building. I am going to show this as well. Just a simple diagram. Shows basically where the wall is going to go. This was done. I can zoom out on this plan. So that's the batter that we talked about. So what happens is the wall actually is battered back as it gets stacked. This is over here is a Geogrid.
How many is the Geogrid installed in each course, or every 2 courses, or I can't?
It looks like every 2 feet, less than 2 feet.
Okay.
You have a Geogrid. So the Geogrid's right here. So it's 1018. This is reflecting the Geogrid. So 1, 2, 3, 4 courses of Geogrid is being proposed on this plan.
Okay.
The applicant actually went the route of hiring a structural or civil engineer that did mostly structural to do the design. So what you see here, these plans that there's a 2-sheet set of plans that you have that are essentially a structural drawing, and then what you have is our plan, which is basically showing you more conservation, hay bales, silt fence, things of that nature. So what we, again, the construction methods are hay bales, silt fence, remove the wall, and then basically stack these. If I can give you a picture of what you'll see. It's basically, they're about 18 inches wide, 8 inches high, and they go about 12 inches deep is what typically these blocks are. And they have pins. So what they have is they have interlocking pins in them. And then what happens is when you stack the next course, this is a good one right here. So you stack the next course. So there's 2 pins, and then this next layer has holes in the bottom, and those actually sit on top of those pins. And then what you do is you attach the Geogrid Liner between those blocks and go embed it back about 6 feet into the earth, so that sort of holds the wall in place. And then these are certified. It's a very common wall, and it's certified. It's engineered to meet these requirements.
Sure, it's over 4 feet tall. So what's the date on this plan? Because I don't think we've seen this one.
We sent this plan last time. This plan here that you're looking at now, this plan is
Yeah.
9/4/2020.
9/4.
We emailed this plan to the, and then we can do it again if you wish, but
Did you email it to me?
I did, yeah,
Really?
we did.
Okay.
Okay, so you never sent me any paper plans. I'm so sorry. I don't have that in my file here.
Okay.
I'm on COVID.
That's all right.
Hold on, hold on.
What we'll do is, it's possible that we got the electronic version. We like to have paper copies.
I am so sorry. I don't have that in my file.
Okay.
I think that if we had an experience with a similar wall. Actually, no, it was a vertical wall. My mistake. After 20 years, it failed, and it was 30 feet tall.
30 feet.
Yeah, for commercial. It was for commercial access. So that was problematic. This looks really good. So I'm just going to ask you to forward us a paper copy of this. I don't know why we hadn't seen it, because this is very illuminating.
Yeah, it's a 2-sheet plan actually. So here's the second. Where is it? So
You know what? What's the date on that plan?
9/4/2020.
Well, this is November.
November
18th.
18th. We got a plan from November 18th.
Correct. So this plan was prepared before by a structural,
Okay.
and then so this is what the applicant thought that all they needed was to construct the wall.
Yeah.
Then they realized that they were within conservation jurisdiction, and they came to me and said, "Can you help me out?" Because the gentleman that prepared this plan said, "I can't help you out with conservation." So they looked at me, and I said, "Sure, we'll come down and help you out." And here we are.
It's not a problem. In your professional opinion, do you think this is better than the wall that's there now?
Oh, absolutely. Can that be on the exam next time?
Mike was trying to show pictures of the wall. I have to admit that's the scariest wall I've ever seen.
It is.
So, John, if you could get me a couple of paper sets of that, I'm going to look to see if I have an electronic version. I am totally baffled because I'm pretty good about keeping track of things, and I don't ever recall receiving that. So if I could impose on you to take care of that, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you can make that a condition of the approval that you get these, because this is what they're going to be building the wall base.
Yeah, it's Nancy DeCristoforo.
Yes, yes.
Mark can drop those off to you.
Okay,
Yeah, Mark has all paper copies of it.
okay.
He has paper copies?
Yes.
Oh, so Mark's going to drop them off?
Yep.
Okay,
Perfect.
beautiful.
That's perfect.
Sorry.
No, that's quite all right. I think that the commission will agree. We conducted a comprehensive site inspection last Saturday, and everyone understands the need. All of the work will be taking place from behind the existing wall. What we're going to do is we're going to require, yeah, would you hold that plan right there? What we're going to do is we're going to require that the material that's excavated, because it's going to be put back in, it's going to be stored up gradient on the northern part of the lot. And we're going to ask you to ring it with hay bales. That'll be in the order of conditions. Because what do you think it's going to take? About a week to do this? 2 weeks?
Honestly, it's something like this. It's only 55 feet, 8 feet high.
Yep.
Excavate, yeah, about a week. Yeah.
Okay, a week. So what we'll do is, you know, what we don't want, in knowing the DeCristofaros have a little bit of an issue with stormwater running down their driveway, we want to make sure that the dirt pile is controlled under sediment erosion control, so we don't have, if it rains heavily, you know, we don't want it to be washing down into the lake. That's all.
Yep. Totally understand.
Yeah, one of the other things that I think would be very important is to move those hay bales, the erosion control, as far from the water as we can. We were there on site, and it appears that if you're working from the top and you're excavating from the top, there's no reason to have the hay bales so close to the water. So I know that they're located this way, but when I'm called to inspect the erosion control, I'd like to make sure that they're in as close to the wall as they can possibly be without interfering with the construction.
Yeah, 5 feet reasonable. I mean, if you can put a condition that the hay bale sill fence be 5 feet from the existing retaining wall, that's a reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
If that works for construction, that's fine.
Absolutely, yeah, because construction is mostly handwork. To be honest with you, it's all the work is behind the wall and the handwork that needs to be done. But you know, I'd like them to be at least have 5 feet in front in case if the wall does collapse. You know, I don't want it to go over the hay bale.
No, of course
No, we
not.
get it.
But it appears that you have a lot more than that.
I do. This looks like about 10 feet. So yeah, definitely tighten that up.
Sure,
you know.
sure, yeah.
Okay, so we'll put that in the conditions, and when the administrator goes out to inspect, you know, she'll cast an eye on that. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chair? I
Yes.
have a question. What is going to be the future top surface, impervious, pervious, grassed in here? I can't remember. I think it was discussed briefly, but it doesn't seem to be indicated on the plans. In the area behind the wall at the top, it's going to be fairly close to surface level. I'm thinking of runoff in the future, et cetera.
I thought it was going to be, you know, pervious material.
It is, yeah. We're proposing pervious. So the
Like lawn or like stone that's going to let the water through, or?
stone on top, it's going to be
Oh, it says impervious.
Oh, it says impervious.
impervious fill. No, no.
12 inches.
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense at all.
No.
I mean, I didn't think they talked about using it as a landscape lawn area to view the lake. I mean, it's a nice view and all that, but I'm just not seeing anything on here. I'm a little concerned about runoff and stuff. If it looks like it's right up the top there and flowing over potentially.
Yeah, impervious fill makes me think of like reground asphalt.
Yeah, I agree. And that's not the intention. The intention is the proposed wall is 8 inches lower than the existing wall, actually. So let's go to my site plan. So you can see the 82 and the 82 back here. But what there is there is actually, they're proposing a little berm, not berm, if you will, but a what do you want to call it? So it's just like a dip, if you will, so that the water's not just running over the top of the wall. So the capstones, let me go back to here. The capstones on this wall. So you have capstones. So I don't know what that is. I don't know what the.
So would there be a swale around there, John? Is that what you're saying? There's sort
Not
of
a swale, but it was
a swale inside the wall?
It's going to dip down, say like 3 inches lower. In other words, top of wall, you're going to bring flush, and then it's going to come back down and then come up. So that's the intention. You don't want the water just going straight over the top of the wall.
Right, but given the grade coming down from the street as we walk down onto the site, and again, this is just one time there, reflection, I'd be still concerned about, you know, a 3-inch dip before it goes over the top of the wall. It doesn't seem like a whole lot if it's not grass or something to soak it up. I'm just not being sure of what's going to be happening. I think we should really get clarity before we.
I think you should put a condition that it shall be pervious behind the wall.
Can you go back to your original drawing?
Mine?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so if we look at that.
Say Mark DeCristoforo.
There's a concrete retaining wall that's going to remain there.
Over here?
Right there, yep. So the water that might come down from up along the road, primarily it's going to go into the driveway. But if it does get into the area behind the new construction, it's going to be pervious material and absorb. There's weep holes in the wall, so we don't have to worry about, you know, blowing out the structure. I don't think that we're going to have to worry about, you know, water coming from over the top of where the septic system is, you know, to the north. If you can get us out to the street.
Excuse me?
Can you get us out to the, yeah, right there. Okay.
We're going to plant grass all over the top, and a lot of the driveway is going to be taken away also.
Right.
We're going to plant grass.
This is what Mark told us out on the site. So right now, all of that area, Mike, is grass.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I mean, just seeing the impervious note there caught my eye, and thinking that it was going to be something different, more like what they're talking about now, makes me feel better about it. But we probably want to have the plans corrected to show that, or note that somehow, or something like that.
Or can you put in the condition basically that it shall be pervious? I mean, because what you look at, see this concrete pad? We're removing impervious.
Right.
And that's supposed to be, so if you don't mind, and again, I apologize because that should say concrete pad remove and replace with lumen seed. So if you can just put a condition, please, that the area behind the wall and the concrete pad to be removed shall be replaced with lumen seed would be very acceptable to my client.
Pond on 128 acre site located at Assessors Map 95, parcel 37, 180 Pine Street, Bellingham. Eric Diaz, Strong Point Engineering, Manley Street, West Bridgewater, has submitted the filing on behalf of Ron Bonvy, Active Adult LLC, Southport Drive, Mashpee. The hearing will be held online via Zoom on Wednesday, January 13th at 8 p.m.
Excellent. Good evening. For the record, my name is Eric Dias. I'm a registered professional engineer with Strong Point Engineering Solutions. Here tonight representing, I believe it's NECC Active Adult, under guidance of Mr. Ron Bonvy. With me tonight is Cameron Larson. He is from Environmental Consulting and Restoration. They are the company that did the wetland delineation. So Cameron will be here to backstop and make sure I don't say anything too stupid as we go through this process. You guys will remember back a few months ago, we filed an ANRAD on this for a smaller portion of the site, and we're back now, and I think at the time we even discussed possibly expanding that ANRAD at some point. So we're back now with a much bigger portion of the site. This is a portion that we anticipate being dedicated to the first phase of a potential future development project on the site. So we're here obviously to define what the wetland resource areas are. And it's a big one. We've got, just reading off the list here, we've got over 8,000 linear feet of bordering vegetated wetland. We've got 240 linear feet of bank to a pond. We've got about 1,500 linear feet of the bank of a perennial stream and over 2,000 linear feet of bank to an intermittent stream. A total locus area here of about 130 acres. So, you know, this one is pretty, it's sizable. It's not complicated so much as it is sizable. Obviously, as you know, I don't know if the commission's been out to the site yet, individually or as a group, but we haven't held a site walk. So what I thought I might do tonight, Mr. Chairman, if it makes sense, is just walk through the general layout on this thing a little bit, give an overview, and then we can get into any amount of detail that you want to, if that makes sense to you.
Sure, just so that you understand, in 1985, the administrator and I participated in the regional wetland delineation for the golf course. So we've been on the site.
Oh, sure. I know.
We know how big it is.
Yes, I should say that. I know you're very familiar with the site. Yes, without a doubt.
So, okay. Yeah, let's see what, are you going to make the presentation or is Cameron?
I can do it if I can share my screen.
Not a problem. Jim, would you allow that? Well, actually, Jim kicked Noel back off.
I transferred it back over.
Oh, you did it nicely.
Thank you
Okay.
for your help, Noel.
There we go. So what I thought I might do, we have the ANRAD plan set that is in front of us here. You can see it's a 13-page set with a big cover sheet. I thought I might use this and actually use the AutoCAD file just because it's a little bit easier to get around to show things to the commission a little bit better. This sheet C1 that you see here was the subject of the original ANRAD that we filed on this property. This is all under a current ORAD, so there's really nothing here that needs to be confirmed. It was really simply included here for continuity purposes. We didn't want to do this whole site and have to reference two different plan sets at the end of the day. It didn't make much sense. So I'm actually going to switch over to the AutoCAD file now. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
I've never tried to use AutoCAD in a presentation before, but it just lets me, the site is so big, it lets me zip around here a little bit better. So just to go back, this is sheet C1. I'll briefly discuss. We've got this line here in green that I just highlighted is a bordering vegetated wetland series A. Obviously, all the associated buffer zones are shown. We had determined we have another bordering vegetated wetland series B here. And what happens in reality is that these two lines probably connect to each other and continue throughout basically the whole perimeter of this of the property. We had an isolated wetland series C, which we identified a vernal pool within that series C. And then we have a bordering vegetated wetland series D, where actually on our field walk, we identified this stream that you see continues on to sheet C2 and comes all the way up to a discharge from a head wall at the access to the property. Now, we ended our delineation at that point because at the time we're not proposing to do anything up in this portion of the site. The other thing that we identified initial ANRAD is this zone AE floodplain. It has a determinate flood elevation of 186. So we've been fortunate enough to have good topo on the site. So not only did we chase that all the way through the initial ANRAD, but you can see as we move through along the northern property line, we pick that floodplain back up, although our elevation changes to an elevation of 190 in this location, and that continues throughout the site. Just moving along that northern boundary, you see we've got another bordering vegetated wetland. We're calling it the 400 series, which is very likely a continuation of B. If we go off site, I'm sure these two connect together. We continue more along the northern boundary. We're actually off the site. The street boundary is this magenta colored line that you see where my cursor is. We've got a series 300 bordering vegetated wetland there, and then located within that, just off the site, running parallel to the northern property line and coming onto the site in this location here. We actually do have the bank, we delineated a mean annual high water bank to a perennial stream. So you can see that we are showing the 200-foot riverfront coming off of that perennial stream, which is this brown colored line that I just highlighted that wraps around the northern portion of the property. This 300 series wetland turns into a 200 series wetland and kind of comes over this way, follows the stream, and then comes off of the stream and into, I don't know, and into the site. I'm getting a message that said Dan has entered the waiting room and for this meeting, and it gives me the option to admit him. Should I do that?
Dan.
Who's Dan?
No, you don't bother admitting. I'll take care of that one. You just focus on the plan.
All right, I had never seen that before. I didn't know if something went awry here. I didn't know if I was the host now somehow. But anyway, so it comes through with that finger and then kind of shoots back out to the stream again. You can see in this location where we have our examination plots, wetland flag 165, and then this continues to wrap around to the eastern portion of not only site boundary, but what will be our potential phase 1 project boundary. Now we get kind of more into the site itself. Everything that we've looked at so far has been on the fringes of the site. As we get interior to the site, we've got some bordering vegetated wetland. We've got a golf pond here. We did delineate the bank to that pond. That pond ties into another bordering vegetated wetland that comes toward the south. We're calling that the Series 1 wetland. And then that kind of comes and loops back around at the edge of our work area. So from there, we travel further south. We've got another BBW down here, the 700, and yeah, the 700 series wetland ties into another 500 series wetland that's a little bit more interior to the site. And those two are connected with an intermittent stream that we did delineate both banks on that intermittent stream. Then coming more over into the central portion of our site, this area that you see here, spanning sheets C4, 5, and 6. We've got another golf pond here. We've delineated the bank of the pond on the project side and show the approximate edge of the bank on the non-project side. This pond discharges through a culvert and swale combination until it gets to an intermittent stream where it then flows south over quite a grade. And then kind of eventually peters out into the wood line through here. And obviously, as you know, because I know you're very familiar with the site, we've got a substantial grade change on this site. We're looking at grades in the 190s and 186 down on this side, on the northern side. And you come to the back of the 500 series wetland, and we're looking at grades of elevations of about 300. So we're wrapping at least 100-foot grade change across this site. So that's the overview. By all means, I'll be glad to get into any amount of detail, but I know you guys have had a long meeting, so I want to go at your direction.
Okay. So time frame. What are you looking at here for trying to get the review conducted?
Well, we'd like to be as aggressive as we can. As with all things, you know, time is, I don't want to say time isn't on our side, but time is certainly a factor. We would like to get to the next planning stages of this project and be submitting it to the, you know, design review boards as soon as we can. And obviously, this is the first portion of this that we have to get through.
Okay. The administrator had mentioned to me that you had contemplated our opinion about peer review to review the line.
Yeah, nothing that I'm married to. I had just posed the thought that maybe just given its sheer size, I didn't know, not being terribly familiar with this commission, if the commission would want to farm this out to a third party or keep it in-house. We're gonna find a way.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to mention is we realize that you do want to, you know, expedite this. We certainly all do. It's difficult sometimes, and we've been fortunate so far this year with the weather. But generally speaking, wintertime is a tough time to do some of the delineations, especially, you know, with impending snow. At this point in time, obviously, we've been very fortunate. So I just wanted to mention that as we move along in the process here.
Oh, absolutely. And whereas this is a big site, you know, this could be a situation where we're able to review a portion of it in the field, and then we get snow, and now we're stuck for the rest of it for a little while. So we understand we're not at the opportune time, but you know, that said, we'd like to be as aggressive as we can with it as far as timeline is concerned.
Understood.
In terms of the commission doing a site like this, obviously it's going to be multiple visits. We have done sites larger than this, and it's taken 6 or more multiple hour visits to get it done. Does the commission have any thoughts about maybe engaging the services of someone who we've worked with in the past, who we trust to do this kind of review? I'm thinking about Natural Resource Services out of Northern Rhode Island. They might have the ability, they might be able to do it, they will definitely be able to do the review a lot quicker than the commission.
I think that's a good idea. This is a big site. Another professional review wouldn't be bad.
And certainly one of the things that we do we always make sure that if we do hire a third party, we do go out on site to look at what has been delineated and the areas that were of concern to that consultant.
Yeah, Eric, the way it works, I mean, obviously, you know, you're in the business, but, you know, consultants don't always see eye to eye in any areas where there might be any questions. The commission goes out, you know, we'll go out, just take a quick walkthrough, maybe while it's ongoing, but if there are any areas of discrepancy, then, you know, we get involved. But this firm has been pretty good, and, you know, there's usually not a lot of discrepancy. So
sure. And you know, not being from the area, and certainly I don't want to speak for my client, but not being from the area, you know, we're very comfortable with the commission from our past dealings. So if you're comfortable with this firm, I would assume that we would be comfortable as well. I know we have a lot of faith in our guys at ECR, and we know that they're good at working with other consultants. So if we can let those guys kind of gang up and get it done, and if they can do it in a, you know, possibly a more timely fashion, I think that might be a good thing, especially given that we do have impending weather to think about and things like that.
Well, the window of opportunity is open right now. This is an amazing thing.
Yeah, it is.
You know, once we get snowfall, it becomes a little more difficult. And, you know, under the local bylaw, you know, we certainly have the ability to say, conditions don't allow for an accurate delineation.
Sure.
And right now, with no snowpack, I don't know, Cameron might be able to lighten us a little more, but I don't know how deep the frost level is, but sometimes no snow means you can't get your soils out because it's frozen.
Yeah, Cameron, what are you finding? I know you guys are still out there delineating right now. What are you finding in the area in general?
Well, we're mostly delineating through the South Shore, to be honest. We haven't been out your way in a little while.
Warmer.
A little warmer down our end. So we haven't had any issues up to this point. It's been a nice mild winter, of course.
Okay. So
it's staying that way.
Well, yeah, it means we don't have to shovel snow. All right, so here's what I'm going to suggest. Why don't we reach out to this consultant, check their availability, and get back to you with an estimated price. And then we can, if you're amenable, then we can develop a contract and get them going.
I think that makes sense. I will just check in very quickly. I know my client, Mr. Bonvy, is chimed into the call. Ron, can I get a thumbs up? Does that all sound good to you? I got a thumbs up from Ron. We should be, I got two
thumbs up. Okay, then we will proceed. We will proceed, and we'll keep you in the loop on that.
All right, great.
And so what I'm going to do, I think what I'm going to do is suggest a continuation to the first meeting in February, which is February 10th. But what we'll be doing prior to that is trying to coordinate the consultant any contractual work that has to be done with you guys. And, you know, if everybody agrees, the work will be commencing before then.
Sure.
Is that
Sure.
good?
I think that makes sense. And if the window stays open and we can work quickly, we may be able to come back with, you know, slightly revised plans and hopefully be in a good position by that time.
That's a goal for all of us.
So you said February 10th, is that correct, sir?
I'm sorry?
You said
February 10th, yes. And I'm, yeah, so if that's, everybody's amenable, I'll entertain a motion to proceed with the development of a peer reviewer for the wetland delineation and continue the hearing to the evening of February 10th at 7.
So moved.
That was
Second.
close. Okay. Okay. So we have a motion, a second discussion.
Can you hear me?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Hi.
Oh, that's it. Unanimous vote.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you all for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank
It's our
you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. So we have more business. First of all, we have reappointments. Brian, Ariane, and Noel are up for reappointment. I hope that you're all interested in continuing. If you are, please fill out the forms that Ann sent.
Or actually, it was Hillary.
Hillary sent, not Ann, so that we can keep you all at least in the mix. We do have another person who has submitted an application. I don't know anything about him other than the fact that he's a professional engineer. That's all I know. He does work, but he lives in Bellingham and thought it might be nice to get involved in a town board and use his services, but we'll see. So if you're interested, please return those as soon as possible. The next thing is signatures. We need some signatures.
When can we?
When can we meet to sign?
Are you going to be at town hall on Friday?
Oh, yes.
I can be by on Friday.
Friday.
Okay, we got a Friday. That's one.
It would probably work for me too.
Friday, 2 on Friday.
I can do Friday or tomorrow, Ann, if you're eager. I know you're going to be there waiting for some plans to arrive, I hear.
Yes, I'll be there tomorrow too.
Okay.
What time, after 10, before 10, 6:30 in the morning? Well,
No, not 6:30 in the morning. Yeah, 10 is good. I mean, that's fine.
Okay.
I want to be there earlier, but 10 is good.
Gives us 3.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'll sign.
For sure. That gives you 4.
Okay.
So we have Mike and Ariane. Sean, did you say you could do that? Okay.
Friday.
The vice chairman is wavering.
Yeah, he's unsure.
You can advise.
My schedule is not really my own.
I
understand.
understand.
I'm being pulled in several directions.
I'm sure you are. I can.
You mean they're
also-
going to hook up all 4 horses at once, Neil, and just pull away?
if
No,
we-
we've only got 3 at the moment.
Now that's the
Budget
kind
cut.
of entertainment that the Templars would appreciate.
Yes.
Drawing and quartering.
Yes, we're down to 3 horses due to budget cuts.
That's tough. Well, if Saturday morning works for anyone, we have to go that route. Would you be available maybe on Saturday morning?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
could do that too.
I could definitely do that.
Okay.
Saturday morning as well.
Okay.
I have much more control over my Saturday schedule.
Right.
So if we did a Saturday, what, 9, 10, something like that? 8:30? What do you want? What's good? It won't take long.
8:30, 9, sometime around then is good.
Works for me.
You should go to 8:30, then Cliff can come up with a site walk for you to go on.
Or 2.
Or 2.
Just one more.
Cliff always has an extra site walk.
Ah!
Hey, it's Mike Roche. Hey.
I
hi,
saw your name there. How
I
are
missed it.
you?
Good, how are you?
Do you miss us, buddy?
I do. I couldn't help but join when Mr. Weeb told me there was a meeting tonight.
He's Shaw?
Mr. Shaw Weeb.
All right, so then I guess 9 o'clock on Saturday morning at the town hall.
What I will do is if I need your signatures, I will let Noel and Neil know, okay?
And Brian, because he could make it Saturday.
Oh,
too.
Brian too, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we're gonna do Friday and then Saturday. Anyone who wasn't able to do Friday will sign.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a couple sets of minutes. October 28th and November 4th. Has everyone had an opportunity to peruse the minutes?
Yep.
Yes.
I do have a quick thing on the 28th, Mr. Chair, but hold on a second. My computer's really slow today. Okay.
Why am I not surprised?
Why are you not surprised? Hey, I want to make sure Amy feels appreciated for all the hard work she does in getting these things pulled together there. Hang on. Okay. 28th. I'm scrolling through it. Hang on. I highlighted it. Didn't save it. Oh, okay. On page 6.
Oh, we have to do 6.
Just a sentence structure thing. Halfway down the page, the NOI would allow flatten the swale for better distribution. This design will improve what is currently there. This would establishment the 25-foot buffer. I think you should probably just want to say it will allow flattening of the swale and then establish the 25-foot buffer. Right?
Okay.
Just a structure thing. And I
Got it. I got it.
He's paying attention. I got to admit, he's paying attention.
I'm glad he reads them.
Things never change.
Well, somebody did, right? Okay, that's good. I'm good for that one then. Do you want to do the 4th too, or do you want to wait for that?
Yeah, we'll do the 4th.
All right, the 4th was Frank, I think, wanted to say something about this one. I noticed his name got misspelled a few times, so it might be just to go through the word and just change them all to Petro. It's spelled a couple different ways, I think.
Maybe they were different Frank.
For example, page 4, right near the bottom, it says consultant Di Patro.
I'll do a change all. That's easy. Change
yeah, that's
all.
easy. That was figuring. And then there was, hold on a second, I'm scrolling my.
Man of many names.
Maybe there were more than one. Maybe there was more than one Frank.
That's what I'm wondering. It didn't even say Frank, so.
There's only one DePietro.
I often need aliases. What can I say?
Well, there used to be a DePietro, Joe DePietro in the school committee. The page 5, just I think you want to say 2 instead of top. So second to last paragraph, last sentence, it is possible to include in the order of conditions the details about the timing and methodology of how this is going to be built instead of top to be built. I think that might, just let me scroll back through. I think that was probably Frank's name, that one, and page 2, top sentence, where the erosion and sedimentation controls will be installed, which will include staked wattles. I had to look it up to be sure, but it is wattles, I believe, since wattling is only referred to as ducks, and wattles are actually the things with wicker and reeds and things like that.
Good catch. Good
Could
catch.
be geese too. Could be geese.
Yeah, it could be.
Wattle too.
I don't know what waddle you meant, but that's all I got.
All right. So if there are no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes for October 28th and November 4th as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
By unanimous vote. We have one more thing. Then I just wanted to talk to Frank briefly about the environmental portion of the Red Mill review. We have a request for certificate of compliance for 60 Pickering Avenue. It was a tight septic system repair, not a tight tank, but a tight septic system repair on a small lot on Pickering Avenue. And when Ann and I went down to inspect, there was an enormous amount of trash and resource area. so part of the order that we signed and issued resulted in the removal of trash. We went down to inspect, sediment erosion controls were removed, trash is removed, looked good. So recommendation is that we sign and issue the certificate of compliance. I'll entertain a motion to sign the certificate for 60 Pickering.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, very good.
And did you want to mention anything about the ethics form that I asked you about?
Yes, you had inquired, you had believed that perhaps you had done this more recently.
Hoped that I had done it.
Hoped.
Hoped?
Well, unfortunately.
Whoa.
Oh, see that now. Look
Now
at
that's
that.
leadership right there.
That's
What?
leadership. That's our chairman. That's our vice chairman.
That's our
Is
vice
that 3 years old there, Neil, or what?
He's angling for the big seat.
I will have you know that I completed mine as well. I don't have my
I'll do it.
certificate. But yes, we do all need to take that course within 30 days. As soon as you get it, sit into Larry, please.
Okay.
Do we have to bring it in person?
No, I'm sure you can scan it and email it to him.
Okay. I did mine in October. Is that too long ago?
No, that's fine.
That's excellent.
Okay. I just happened to be there for whatever reason, so.
Nobody's reminded us about that in a long, we haven't done one in a long time.
That is correct. That is correct.
Well, they're 2-year cycles, so I was like, maybe I did it last year and forgot. I was hoping, whatever.
I just wish the members of the general court had to take an ethics.
Well, no, they know better. They know better.
I get off on my soapbox for just 1 second and say that I believe that members of the general court should have to take this as well.
I think it would be more important for them to take it. Hey,
You're darn tootin'.
We finally had a speaker of the House of Representatives who retired and didn't go to jail, unlike the previous.
Yes, he didn't retire through becoming a ward of the state.
Okay. No, I get it. All right. Well, I guess I was going to talk to Frank about that, but I think maybe what we'll do, there's a couple of issues that I wanted to talk to you about. A couple of questions I had about your review. So maybe at some point tomorrow, if you're available, I thought maybe we could speak today, but you were busy, we were busy.
Sure.
So if you could maybe connect with Ian, we'll check what your availability is and then we'll do it then.
Sounds fine.
Okay, sounds fun. All right.
Cliff, I have a quick question for information purposes for the commission. Seeing the progress on the solar array on Maple Street, I had asked Ann, she forwarded me, thank you, Ann, I got yours. The question I asked Ann, just for the commission members, was when they got approval for the project to go forward, they were talking about putting some sort of visual shield along Maple Street. And if you've driven up there, it's, I think, pretty horrific. It's clear cut as far as the eye can see practically. The plans appear to show a 1.5 foot berm with a 8-foot fence on top, I believe, so about a 9.5 foot barrier eventually with some trees along the front or bushes or something. At what point in time, my question is to Cliff and Ann, is what time would they be required to have that done, inspected, approved and everything? Is it just before they go for a final certificate of completion or whatever, or something else? Somewhere along the way.
Probably towards the end of the project after they get all those plantings in.
They will
Okay,
need
so we're
a,
thinking spring sometime probably.
yeah, but they will need a certificate of compliance, and they can't get a certificate of compliance without performing that work. And sometimes in situations like this, it becomes a monetary issue. If they are lending money, or are borrowing money, they need to demonstrate, that all their permits are secured and they've in compliance with whatever planning and zoning and conservation permits. So no, I don't know. Maybe the planning board has a different requirement, Jim.
No, it's towards the end. We rarely would make them put up a a decorative fence only to get it destroyed during construction. So all that tends to be towards the end. Unfortunately, we gotta sit through the mixing of the cake to get the cake. So yeah, you have to sit through some construction here.
You mean the frosting goes on after?
Exactly.
Oh, unless the job's half baked to start with.
All right.
All right.
Does anybody have anything else to add? Frank, anything to add?
No, I'll be seeing some of you tomorrow, or talking to some of you, seeing other ones tomorrow, and see all of you in 2 weeks.
Sounds
Fair
good.
enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Again.
All in favor?
Bye.
Night
Thank
all.
you all.
Good night. Take care.
Good
all.
night. Happy
Hey,
New Year.
Amy.
Have a
quick
great night.
question.
Yes,
Jim.
yes,
Do you do the minutes for the Medway Planning Board?
yes, I do.
Okay.
They look the same.
Do you
No, I
see
was-
how long they are?
I was perusing the minutes of the Medway Planning Board, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yes.
You
Yes.
recognize that style, did you?
No, I recognize the name.
Oh.
Hey, take a look at the length of those. Those are pretty long too. I think 10 pages at a minimum.
Yeah.
That's why Jim's glad he works for Bellingham and not Medway, right, Jim? Nice short planning board meetings.
Yeah. Have a good night.
All right.
All right, good night.
Take care all.